Welcome to my next From Season 3 episode review videos. I watched the episode on the MGM Plus app. Before I get into that, though, pretty important if you aren't caught up to the point where I am rewatching or watching from, or you're just not entirely sure, then you definitely need to take the initiative and pay attention to the episode's title, which, of course, I'll mention as well as put in the description. If that happens to be the case, you find that you're not caught up, it would be my recommendation that you don't watch this detailed review any further to avoid any potential spoilers. And I apologize for the lateness of this review video. I was just really busy Saturday night going into Sunday with UFC stuff. I did warn all of you in my last From review video that this episode might be out way later, so that's why it didn't come out right away. Obviously, you all know, if you didn't know, I'm a big fan of From. I don't think it's an amazing show, but I think it's mostly solid. There are some things that I would tinker with a little bit to improve it, but the reason why I started watching the show From is because it was behind some of the people that were behind Lost, and Lost is one of my favorite shows of all time, easily, so I gave From a chance, and for the most part, I'm mostly satisfied. I am a little worried that the ending of the show might be a little lackluster, like a not-so-good M. Night Shyamalan twist, but we shall see. I've already reviewed every single episode of From on this channel, so if you want to check any of those out, click right here with about 20 seconds left to go in the video. That will be my From series, our From review playlist, if you want to check out any of those. Again, 20 seconds left. That'll be the end screen. Check all those out. But big fan. I'm going to watch it to the end. So with all that said, this will be From Season 3, Episode 9. The title of this episode is called Revelations Chapter 1. And this will be my review reaction recap after just finishing watching the episode. So we have Boyd and Ellis who are searching for Fatima in the forest. Boyd warns that it's getting dark. Ellis refuses to give up on the search. Boyd notes that Fatima took the talisman and tells Ellis they can return in the morning. And then they start to argue, and then Boyd's hand begins shaking and he stumbles to the degree where he's even unable to walk, so Ellis has to support him. Elgin returns with things to make Fatima more comfortable. Fatima begs him to let her go. Elgin replies that she is not a prisoner and he is trying to protect her. Fatima says that she saw the kimono woman and whatever is inside her is not good, citing Tilly's death as evidence. Elgin simply says that it was because the baby was scared and Fatima was not feeding it. Fatima tries to leave but is overwhelmed by pain. Elgin helps her to the bed and urges her to eat, and soon they will be able to go home. Elgin tells her that the baby already helped them, as finding out she was pregnant allowed Elgin to remember his dream, which led it to Boyd saving the town from the music box monster. Despite initially protesting, Fatima eventually allows Elgin to feed his jarred blood to her. Victor shuts down while Tabitha and Sarah try to get him to tell them about his memories. However, Victor blames himself for telling his mother about the tree, believing himself responsible for her death. As Tabitha grabs Victor, she freezes, and Victor wrestles free and leaves. Sarah notices, but before they can discuss, Kenny arrives with the news that something happened to Julie in the woods. Christy looks over Julie in Ethan and Jim's presence. Christy observes no signs of trauma, which she declares is a good sign, obviously, and Julie promises that she is fine. Christy and Marielle ask for her to explain what happened, and Julie answers that she walked into the ruins, stepped inside, and blacked out. Marielle asks if she remembers anything else, and Julie says she had a weird dream. Christy asks to keep her in the clinic overnight before she and Marielle leave the Matthews alone. Jim asks Julie what she was doing at the ruins. She begins to explain that she went there with Randall the previous day. Jim grows angry, but they are interrupted by Tabitha's arrival. As Randall checks the bandages on his face, he becomes overwhelmed by the sound of cicadas again. The sound stops when Jim arrives, and he asks what they were doing in the woods. Randall is defensive, and Jim explains that he knows she is going through something after her shared ordeal with him and Marielle, but refuses to discuss it. Jim admits he cannot understand, but figured that Randall might. Randall says he was teaching her how to drive when they ended up at the ruins. Randall confesses that even he cannot explain what happened, but he told Julie not to go to the ruins because it just kind of felt wrong. And then when Jim leaves, Randall suggests he teach Julie to drive because there is nothing they can do and none of them will ever escape alive. And then Jim retorts that he cannot accept that before leaving. Elgin helps Boyd back to the sheriff's station. Boyd insists he's fine and has to ring the bell before sundown. And then Ellis tries to get him to rest and figure out what is wrong. Boyd snaps and admits he knows what is wrong. Boyd says has his son sit with him and pours them both a drink. Donna walks through Colony House, sadly remembering the anniversary party that they held for Fatima's arrival that ended in the disaster. Jim reports that the kids are asleep. Jim apologizes to Tabitha for his behavior and promises to support her in trying to figure out how to get home. Boyd explains that he has Parkinson's to Ellis and figured it out right before he ventured into the forest with Sarah. Ellis asks if anyone else knows, and Boyd answers that Christy and Kenny do. Ellis is upset that he wasn't told, with Boyd explaining that he did not want to worry Ellis. Ellis asks if the tremors in his leg happened before, and Boyd says it has not and that it seems that it is getting worse. Boyd also reveals that the creatures or the monsters forced him to watch Tian-Chen's death, wanting him to break him. And Boyd wonders if Fatima's baby is another thing that they are trying to use to break him. Ellis assures his father that he did not cause this, but Boyd says that they know nothing. But Tilly is dead. Fatima out there somewhere while he sits there uselessly there. They are interrupted by a knock on the window from the nurse monster, or the nurse creature, monster, whatever you want to call them, who asks if everything is all right. And then agitated, Boyd goes to the window and pulls out his gun at the monster, but Ellis pulls him back. Sarah finishes fixing the smashed Christmas ornament. However, she begins hearing the voices again and arguing with them. She is soon overwhelmed by pain and begs to be left alone. Elgin returns to the root cellar, while inside a visibly pregnant now Fatima tries to rip a metal bar off the bed to use as a weapon. So drinking Elgin's blood out of a jar all of a sudden has made her show, at least from our vantage point. And then Elgin arrives, happy to see that her pregnancy is progressing. She asks to be helped up and then cuts his arm trying to run away, but Elgin is able to grab her and keep her from escaping. Boyd tries to keep Ellis from going out on his own and suggests putting a search party together. Sarah arrives and asks if Fatima is all right. Noticing their expressions, Sarah says that Fatima is missing. Sarah then explains that she heard the voices for the first time since going to the ruins, and they told her that she was taken. They want Boyd to know that she is afraid, and while she is close, Boyd will be unable to find her in time and save her. Victor begins throwing things out of his bedroom window, including many of his drawings. Clara arrives and asks Victor what he's doing. Victor shouts that he kept all these things because he thought they would help him, but all they do is hurt. Acosta and Kenny notice the commotion and follow him to the kitchen, trying to calm him. Victor retrieves the axe, and Kenny tries to get him to put it down. Victor promises he will not hurt anyone, but needs the axe. As he grows more agitated, he asks to be let go, and Acosta says they will if he tells them what he needs the axe for, and Victor answers that he is going to chop down a tree. The Matthews family go to the diner, which is now back up and running again thanks to Bacta. And Bacta praises Ethan for helping with the cleaning and organizing, telling him that he is welcome to help out anytime. Bacta explains that Kenny was very supportive and she felt like people needed a place to feel normal after Tilly's death. As Donna stares mournfully at a picture of her and her sister, Boyd arrives, but before he can begin speaking, Donna promises not to reveal that what Fatima did because of what she means to the people in the town. She says she doesn't think people will be able to take it, adding that she doesn't think she can take it. Boyd reveals that Fatima is gone and that the voices told Sarah that she was taken. Donna tells him to ring the bell and call a meeting. Ethan picks at his food, saying he misses Tian-Chen's pancakes before leaving for the bathroom. Julie tells her parents that he blames himself for what happened to her because she brought him with her to the ruins and asked him if she could enter them. Julie acknowledges it was a mistake, but explains that it felt like one of Ethan's stories. She adds that Jim and Tabitha trying to pretend things are all right is only making things worse. And then outside at the diner, Boyd and Donna assemble everyone. Donna acknowledges that everyone is scared and wants answers about what happened to Tilly. Boyd then reveals that Fatima is missing, and they ask everyone to help with the search. And then somebody asks, what took Fatima, the one thing that killed Tilly, and Boyd admits he does not know and only knows that she is close. When asked how he knows this, Boyd says it is because something wants them to know she is close, is alone, afraid, and believes they do not have what it takes to find her. Boyd says he cannot order them to do anything, but reminds them that they did not always have the talismans and used to live day to day. The talismans allowed them to prove that the town would not break them. The town is trying to break them again, and Boyd says that they have a choice of laying down and dying or fighting back. They have proven themselves able before, and he asks for their help again, although there is no shame in refusing. Bacta asks how they will do this, and Boyd says they will pair up in groups of 2 and cover every inch. I don't think that's a big enough group. You should go in groups of 3. Julie and Ethan both want to help, and Jim agrees to take Ethan, while Tabitha takes Julie. As people begin leaving, Boyd tells them that it'd be best if one of them finds her and says they will cover more ground separately. Boyd finds Kenny and asks if he can search with him, and Kenny agrees. Elgin finds Ellis and offers to search with him, which Ellis appreciates. Fatima has changed into the clothes that Elgin brought her. Donna and Acosta search in the woods. Acosta asks about the voice that told Boyd that Fatima was close. Donna explains that Sarah told him, as she is connected to Fromville, and in ways that are hard to understand. Acosta is, of course, skeptical and theorizes that Sarah may have killed Tilly and Fatima and hid Fatima's body. Acosta continues to ask why the voices aren't revealing more information, and Donna says that it does not work that way. Acosta says that Donna is hiding something from her and that she is a good cop and can be an asset to the town. Donna retorts that she does not have time for a tutorial and they need to find Fatima because she means a lot more to her and the rest of the people in Fromville. Donna tells Acosta, I say it different every time, so if I say it wrong, don't leave me a comment of what the name is. I just see it and say it wrong sometimes. Needs her help, and when Acosta agrees, Donna promises to talk to her. Boyd says that he heard Kenny has moved to the colony house and has been meaning to check on him. Kenny understands, saying there are bigger things going on. Boyd apologizes to Kenny for lying to him about Sarah's role in the death of his father and explains that leading the town comes with making messy life or death decisions. Boyd further explains that the Parkinson's disease is getting worse and that he needs to know that Kenny can step up on in his place. He trusts Kenny to look out for his family and everyone else. Kenny refuses to take Boyd's badge but offers to return to his role as Boyd's deputy. Jade hangs the bottles on a nearby tree when he sees a vision of Christopher holding Jasper on the roof of the back porch. Jade tells them that he is no longer frightened by the visions, but Jasper shrieks, startling Jade and almost knocking him off the ladder. Henry arrives and asks who he was talking to. Observing the tree, he tells Jade that Miranda made one in his yard. Jade impatiently asks if there is something he can help him with, and Henry informs him that everyone is looking out for Fatima. Henry asks if Jade can help him search, and he was hoping they could talk more about Victor. Victor finds the bottle tree / faraway tree and begins hacking at it with the axe. The boy in white tells him to stop. Victor replies that the bad tree does bad things. The boy in white replies that it is important, and Victor frustratingly asks why it is important and why the boy will not help them. The boy replies that he tried to help with Christopher, but now thinks that they need to learn for themselves, as it is the only way they will understand. Victor notices the boy looks different now and asks why, after years of looking the same. The boy answers that everything is changing now. Victor begs him to help him understand so he can help his friends, reminding him that they are friends. The boy simply answers, "Do not cut down the tree," and walks off, disappearing into the forest. And then as Elgin and Ellis search, Elgin recalls how a friend of his went missing when he was a child. He was scared, but his grandmother told him not to worry. His friend was later found on a playground on the other side of town, actually really happy. Ellis snaps and asks if he thinks that everyone is scared for nothing. Elgin tries to explain that sometimes they assume the worst without knowing, but Ellis reminds him that all they know is his wife is missing. And then Ellis reveals that he has already lost his mother, surprising Elgin, and he cannot lose Fatima and go through it again. Ethan and Jim find the RV. The two go inside, and Jim says he wants to talk to Ethan. Jim reminds Ethan that he was injured in the crash when they arrived, and Jim blamed himself for the situation. Ethan says it was not his fault because he was scared and doing the best he could. And Jim says that Ethan did the same when he told Julie to go into the ruins. Jim tells his son that there are things in the township that want them to feel scared and blame themselves for things outside of their control. He reminds Ethan to remember that they are all doing their best and that what matters is that they take care of each other. The two express their love, but before they leave, they hear a voice on the radio claiming to be Thomas, tries taunting them. Ethan tells his father that he was right about it not being Thomas, and they leads Jim out of the RV. Tabitha and Julie search in the canned goods truck. Julie worries that they will be picked off, I should say. One by one, it recalls that Fatima was the first person to make it to the township, the first person in the township to make it seem like it could be normal. Julie reveals that she does not think she was dreaming when she blacked out at the ruins. She believes that she was transported somewhere, first to the dungeon where they were screaming, that a man shackled to the wall, and then she heard her mother's voice in the tunnels and tried to follow it, but kept getting further away. She also heard the children repeating the word Anakui, and Julie says she was worried that she would die alone, but Tabitha pulls her into a hug and tells her that she will never be alone. And then Tabitha sees one of the ghost children and in the distance and reveals to her daughter that the child is beckoning them to follow. Henry explains that he feels like he is starting over completely with completely different person now that he is reunited with Victor. Jade answers that this is because he is, before asking why Henry is not talking why aren't you talking to Tabitha about this? Henry replies that Tabitha has her own children, and Jade reminds him of Victor, explaining that Victor is trying to make a puppet tell a story while Jade screams at things that are not there. Henry asks Jade what he would want his father to say if he arrived, and Jade tells Henry that he is trying to fix Victor when he is not broken. Jade says he has been shaped by his childhood and existence in the township, comparing him to a Tarzan being raised in the jungle, with Henry being the person who tells him he does not know how to use a fork. Elgin and Ellis arrive at the Brundles, and Elgin recalls that Fatima brought him there as his proxy. He then apologizes to Ellis for what happened to Abby, but Ellis brushes it off. Elgin assures him that Fatima will be alright, but Ellis tells him to stop. Elgin reveals that on the bus he had the dream, and since then he has felt like something has been trying to talk to him. Elgin theorizes that everything will be happening for a reason, and Fatima might be out there doing something helpful, adding that the baby might be a good thing. Ellis is confused and asks why this has everything to do with the baby, and Elgin says that they do not have all the information and does not want Ellis to be afraid. Fatima finds a trapdoor under the dirt on the floor and struggles to open it. The kimono woman appears and places her hand over Fatima's mouth. And then we have, the ghost child that leads Tabitha and Julie through the forest to open the root cellar. Tabitha begins to enter, but freezes again. After Julie snaps her out of it, Tabitha continues downstairs and finds Victor continuing to lament his role in his mother's death. Tabitha reassures him that this is not his fault, and he was just a child. Tabitha begins having flashes of the night Miranda left her children in the cellar, and as Tabitha runs outside overwhelmed, she sees Miranda running to the bottle tree, only to be attacked by Smiley, which we haven't seen Smiley since season 2 when he died, and that's what ends this episode of From. So interesting stuff here. I mean, are Tabitha and Miranda the same person, or how is she seeing Miranda's visions unless somehow they're connected? There's a bunch of theories that I've kind of saw, and this is one of them, and this leads us to believe that. I don't think that's the case. I just think people see certain things in this town because that's what they do. But I'll score the episode an 8.5 out of 10. And then my character of the episode, for the females, I'm going to give it to Tabitha. For the males, Boyd, you could give it to many males in this episode. You could take your pick, but Boyd, to me, was the most memorable. So you've heard everything that I have to say. Now it's your turn. If you're a fan of From and you want to help me out with the YouTube algorithm, please consider Hulk smashing the like button, share the video with a friend, put this video on any one of your social media platforms. Don't forget to sound off in the comment section about what your thoughts are on this episode of From. What would you rate it, and whom, if you had to choose, would be your character of the episode, and whatever score that you want to give it. Remember to click right here for my From series playlist if you want to check out any of my previous reviews of From. Right here, end screen, check it out. And then last but certainly not least, don't forget to hit that sub button. You're watching the video anyway. Subscribe to the channel, join the team, show your damn support, and be a part of something special. And you never know what you're going to see on JDev TV.